Good afternoon. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq, and for this special edition of Trade Talks, we have Nasdaq-listed Equinix CEO Steve Smith joining us at MarketSite. Steve, it's great to have you back with me.
Good to see you again.
58 strong quarters of growth. Unbelievable.
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate. We've got a business model and a company that's executing at a high level, and probably fortunately we're living at the intersection of probably some of the greatest trends in our lifetime. So as the world goes more mobile, more cloud enabled, and more data is being stored and moved around the world, we benefit from that, and we're helping many big customers grow their businesses and move their agendas towards a digital agenda today.
And there's a way to actually measure that now with the Global Interconnection Index. Tell us about that.
There is. That's a brand new index that we came out with today. Made the announcement today. We're trying to now, with all of the metrics in the world today that many firms like Cisco does with their VNI report, and many of the industry analysts come out with all kinds of metrics around internet growth, IP growth, mobile growth, et cetera. We decided to look inside of the data centers around the world and come up with a metric to measure the private connectivity going on in the world that's underpinning all of these big trends that we live with every day. So we've been working on this for months. We built a position that was gathered about all the network neutral data centers all over the world, and looked at the private connectivity that was taking place inside of the four walls of these data centers. And it's actually growing at a higher rate than the internet is growing, so by a factor of 2. And the volume of private interconnection that's happening to drive the digital agenda today is almost 6 times the volume of the internet traffic.
Were you surprised by that finding?
I was personally, because I had no idea. It's not been measured before, and we're probably in the best place to measure given that we have 182 data centers in 44 of the biggest markets in the world. And so yes, I was, and it's not just Equinix data. This is all data centers that are network neutral in the same category we're in, and how much traffic is being connected between companies and networks, and companies and cloud companies, and companies together with their business partners, just to drive the security requirements, the growth of their mobile agendas, their digitization agenda, et cetera.
And so I was just going to ask you what key metrics really drive the interconnection index. Is it macroeconomic factors, the technology behind it, regulatory? It is.
There's a handful of big factors that are underpinning this that have been going on for some time that you've been talking about and we all live with. Things like cybersecurity. So as more and more companies manage their technology budgets, cybersecurity is a huge issue. And the amount of money and work being done to protect networks inside of companies happens inside of data centers. And so there's a lot of activity around that. Urbanization is another big macro trend. More and more people are moving to cities. And as you probably know, cities like Detroit are reinventing themselves, and big cities all over the world. And the market data suggests there's going to be 50-odd big mega cities over the next couple decades, where more and more people will move into the cities. And so the services required to help those people run their lives inside these cities, of food delivery or movie delivery or whatever it is going to be exponential. And so there'll be a lot of work behind that.
So which industry is projected to be the largest consumer of interconnectivity, and which is the fastest growing?
Today, financial services is probably the biggest user. Of all the enterprise industry verticals, they're one of the biggest, and so they consume a lot of traffic here. And so they'll drive that. In terms of the highest growth, it'll be something like healthcare or pharmaceutical. There's so much going on in those industries. But we're seeing trends across any industry vertical you can think of today that's trying to get connected to the cloud, manage their mobile workforce that's all over the world. Their customers are all over the world, and to connect them and run their business, whether it's running Microsoft Outlook or it's running a security package or it's running a storage capability, all needs interconnection to make it all work, and it all happens in data centers.
I mean, I really can't even think of an industry or a sector or a subsector that does not, that won't be impacted by interconnectivity, the Internet of Things, the cloud.
One of my favorites is manufacturing, and with the connected car that eventually we all think is going to go to the self-driving car. If you can imagine for a minute the amount of data required to propel self-driving cars all over the world, and where all that data is going to sit, and how it's going to be connected to drive a self-driving car, that's when you start to get your head around the demand that we're facing here in the coming decades. I don't know when that's going to happen. I mean, we can watch the auto manufacturers and the Googles and the Facebooks and the Teslas, but it's going there. You know, and I live in Silicon Valley, where we see a self-driving car weekly. And so the tests are being driven, and that to me is a real one. I mean, your car, my car is connected. In order to drive today, your car today, there's a whole bunch of data and information just to make your GPS work and make your music and everything we do in our cars today. And that's going to progress. And you're going to see those trends in every industry around the world, whether it's electronic health records or how you're going to go visit the doctor online versus physically going in the future. Every industry is transforming to the digital agenda.
Well, I had asked you this earlier, and I want everyone to hear this answer. I asked you how much data is there around the world, and it's hard to quantify that, but the dollar amount spent blew my mind.
Yeah, I'm not sure anybody could capture the amount of data we're talking about, because a lot of it's proprietary inside of companies, and it would be hard to get, but it's growing exponentially. And the amount of data companies need to run their businesses today, and everybody's hiring data scientists, and they're studying everybody's interrogating their data because it tells them where to take their company for the future. So it's a lot, and it's hard to put a measurement on that, but the size of the budgets that corporate companies run globally is enormous. It's in the trillions. You know, it's $2.5 to $3 trillion just total spend around the world to run the IT budgets of, call it the top enterprises and service providers in the world. So it's enormous budgets that many of those companies do some of their own computing and IT managing. Some of them use the cloud today, and more of that is going out to the cloud directly. A lot of it comes to co-location centers where they come in and they put private deployments in these data centers, and then they privately connect to the cloud or to the networks or to their partners or suppliers. And that's the part that we're measuring with this index. The amount of private connectivity because of cybersecurity or because of it could be trade-related activities, payments. All these things have high levels of security, and the public internet's not good enough. And so they're doing it privately inside of data centers where they can reach a network, or they can reach a cloud, or they can reach a partner. And that's just how companies run their technology budget.
And to wrap up, would you agree we're just at the beginning with this when it comes to data collection?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. The data explosion is massive. Cloud's propelling a lot of it. There's new cables being laid between continents today to just get ready for all the new data that's going to traverse the Earth. Haven't even been turned on yet. So there's billions of dollars being put into new undersea cables connecting continents just to prepare for the amount of data, cloud, and mobile traffic that's coming at us in the next decade.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Steve, for joining us.
Yes.
And as always, Twitter, thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.